When I first began teaching the game of tennis, there were certain ways and only certain ways to hold a grip. Today is very different, and it has a major bearing on your style of play.
It all starts with the grip, the grab-it habit. There are three commonly used grips of the killer forehand: the Eastern, semi-Western, and full Western. Talk to your coach, find out which one's right for you, and then stick with it.
The Eastern grip is a very versatile grip. It offers great power and spin options and can handle balls in any part of the strike zone. The semi-Western grip is popular with professional players. It's great for producing both power and spin with balls higher in the strike zone. The Western grip feels very comfortable to smaller players who deal with balls high in the strike zone. It's good for producing heavy topspin, but balls lower in the strike zone can be very difficult to handle. Whichever grip you choose, stick with it and practice it often. It will take months of practice before you develop a reliable habit.
When ripping the killer forehand, players like X always use the same grip. The question is, however, just how tightly do you hold the racket?
Actually, I hold it very loose, just tight enough to keep it in my hand.
Grip the racket as you normally would and take a look at your fingertips. If you see them turning white, you're gripping too tight.
If you hold it too tight, that means your body's becoming tight. The arm becomes tight. You have no flexibility. Let your hands work. Let them work. Let them be free. The starting foundation, the quick step, the adjustment, a ball coming at you. Without that strong foundation, Michael Jordan couldn't get free when three people are guarding him. Another person couldn't get through to hit that impossible forehand. It all comes from the originating position of the strong foundation.
If I've heard Nick say strong foundation once, I've heard him say it 1,000,000 times. To Nick, a strong foundation all starts with the ready position to allow you to be strong through all your movements and all your strokes. This prototype training device allows you to develop all the qualities needed, like a good, strong posture and back position. Hips drop down to a low center of gravity and a wide base to allow you to reflex and move to various positions on the court to hit the killer forehand.
Like a downhill skier, lowering your hip position or center of gravity will improve your quickness, power, and stability. The athletic movement trainer regulates the height of your center of gravity as you practice, building into habit the correct body position and footwork. Adjusted specifically for your height, the bungee cord will resist and remind you when you are using incorrect technique. In match play, you should play every point as if you were wearing an athletic movement trainer.
The problem I've been having with Elena is that when she goes to make contact with the ball, being a big girl especially, she lifts up. And when she lifts up, she can't get underneath the ball at all. It's impossible. Now what this helping device is doing for me is making her keep the lower part of the body down and utilize her legs. And that's what I need. I need lower body use in the ground stroke. And this is going to remind you to do that, okay? right. Stay down. That's perfect. Stay down. Stay down. I've really been very, very hesitant in using any devices in a decent game of tennis. But the use of the legs and staying down with your lower body is extremely important. And this training belt is the answer. It's fantastic.
We've worked and worked to get that strong lower foundation. Why? Strong down below, strong up above. And that's the key, to have perfect foundation for the lower and upper part of the body. With that in mind, the techniques will stay constant. Apply it to your game.
The next test we're going to do is about controlled momentum. In tennis, that means when the lower body stops, the upper body stops with it. We call it the waiter test. Thank you. Good stuff.
In the left picture, trace the yellow line of X's athletic position. Notice his strong back posture with his weight forward on the balls of his feet. The picture on the right used to look at your athletic height. Your ideal athletic height will be approximately 1 foot lower than your standing height. That means if your normal standing height is 6 feet, your ideal athletic height will be around 5 feet.
To the killer forehand, the shoulders are nice and level. The upper body's very still. That's important. The whole foundation is built on a solid piece of rock.
Today in the lab, we're working on the first step reaction footwork, trying to find the proper technique to go from at rest into motion, to turn your big forehand into a killer forehand.
For extreme court coverage, you need an explosive reaction. The drop, step, and drive footwork proves quickest on all types of surfaces for getting to difficult balls. By shifting your weight off the outside foot and tucking the driving foot under your torso, your body weight provides traction, much like a front-wheel drive car in the snow, using the weight of the engine to give the tires traction. In one quick move, the drop step establishes upper body momentum in the direction you need to move. When the ball's only 3 or 4 steps away from you, you won't need such an explosive reaction. The weight shift and drive footwork is effective for less challenging balls. With footage of yourself in a good reaction position, your feet 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart, mark the positions of your feet. Draw an X in between the marks as shown and check for an explosive first step reaction. Your weight shifting off the outside foot, driving hard off the center X.
We've talked about the killer forehand. First of all, you've got to make up your mind you're going to hit that ball. But there are lots of parts to developing the killer forehand, and an important part is timing. As soon as the ball leaves the opponent's racket, that's when the preparation starts. And remember, you can't prepare too soon.
Hit. Ball. Hit. To improve your reaction time, try this drill at home. You got a partner on the other side. When they make contact with the ball, say the word ball. When it's your turn to hit it, say the word hit. Not only will this put you in better position to allow you to be able to hit more killer forehands, but it's also going to improve your reaction time and anticipation skills.
You got to spring on that like a tiger. Good. That's excellent. And you didn't have to make that shot any bigger than what you just did. And that's the point I also want to bring out, David. You don't have to hit those approach defensive shots for outright winners. Okay? You don't have to hit those approach shots for winners. In interviews, the same question, Nick, what do you look for when you're looking for a possible professional player? I'll tell you what I'm looking for. In order to have a killer forehand, you better have quick feet.
Like riding first gear on a bicycle, your first 2 to 5 steps have to be quick and on the ground and maximum acceleration. That'll help you run down difficult balls like the wide angle shot. For a test of it, let's go to the track and a race with Kenny.
In this race, we've got the little guy on the left who will be racing in first gear versus the big man. He'll be starting off in 10th gear. The gears of a bicycle are a good comparison to footwork strides in running. When you run, first gear footwork consists of short, powerful strides, the feet pumping quickly. 10th gear footwork are long, big, reaching strides, good for maintaining speed but not quick on acceleration. For maximum acceleration getting to difficult balls, use first gear footwork. From this angle, notice that first gear sprint footwork is always on the balls of the feet. If your heels are touching the ground in the first 2 to 5 steps, you're in 10th gear.
You're going to come up and catch the ball a little sooner. The more consistent you get, the more confident you get, the more challenging your mind becomes. I can do more. I can do more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's event, featuring a match between test subject X and test subject Y. Let's get it on.
One of the trademarks of a great athlete is their ability to move with footwork as graceful and smooth as a dance. Several footwork patterns are commonly used and can be considered the dance steps of tennis, allowing great players to appear as if they are floating or gliding around the court. A strong foundation is a big part of creating this illusion. The crossover step allows for fluid side-to-side movement, quickly moving to and from the ball. The cross behind step works well for moving to the side and back as well as in recovery. The shuffle step covers short distance as well. The adjustment steps are vital to fine-tuning your balance and positioning in your hitting stance. Of yourself practicing the various footwork patterns, draw a line above your head, as we have created with the carpenter's level. Watch your head as you move side to side. If you see excessive bobbing up and down, you're not gliding. You're wasting energy.
See, right there, you see how Xavier's hitting that ball and how he hits and then he starts gliding over. He knows exactly where he's going. And that's what I like on that footwork, which is so much more positive. Okay? He hit and he's gliding.
You can't fire a cannon from a canoe. The hitting stances provide power, balance, and disguise to your strokes. When arriving at the ball, you need to be in a stance that allows you all shot possibilities. The two desirable hitting stances are an open stance and a neutral stance. For a better understanding of that, let's go to the sport of baseball. Swing! Imagine if a batter had to start outside the batter's box before the pitch is thrown, and then had to enter the box as the pitcher throws the ball. The batter would enter the box with his back foot. In tennis, that's called the open stance forehand. The killer forehand also is hit using the neutral stance, where the front foot steps forward toward your target. You must master hitting the killer forehand from both the open and the neutral stance. A common problem in many players is the closed hitting stance. That would be the same as the batter entering the batter's box with their front foot first. This is firing a cannon from a canoe. We have a bungee cord attached to the back fence and X in a closed stance. No balance, no power, no killer forehand.
Here's how your stance can affect your stroke. Notice the bungee attached to the racket that regulates leverage, or the position of the wrist that you want at contact point. You can see that in an open stance, there are no problems. From a closed stance, everything changes. When you enter the batter's box with only the front foot and you're forced to hit from a closed stance, it makes you have to reach to what's actually the follow-through position to make contact, while also snapping your wrist, turning your contact zone into a contact point. The closed stance forehand. No balance, no power, no consistency, no control. So keep your killer forehand out of that canoe. You'll notice the open stance has only the back foot in the batter's box. Frequently, there's no time to step into the ball and you're forced to hit from the open stance. The neutral stance allows you to drive your weight into the ball and is commonly used when coming forward and often when the ball's hit down the center. With footage of yourself, check and see if you're hitting effectively from both situations. Remember, avoid the closed stance altogether.
Excellent feet. Feet are looking good. Wonderful movement right there. Now, notice right there with Elena, she's able to hit the open stance and the neutral stance, okay? Now, never once did she get into blocking herself out. And what I also like is she went from an open to a semi-neutral and a neutral. She had everything, which means that everything is dependent on her feet. All right, I like it.
Tennis is a very different game when it's played on clay. The slick, sandy surface requires excellent footwork technique. Much like in tournament ping pong, where the competitors are distant from the table's edge, the topspin rallies of clay court play keep the players deep in the court. It is more of a game of endurance, requiring a strong-willed mentality, patience, and a grinder physique. You have to explode from rest into motion. You have to be sharp on change of direction and recovery. In this comparison, you'll see one of the benefits of using clay court movement technique. In both situations, X makes contact with the ball well inside the single sideline. But notice how much further the killer on the run technique pulls X off the court before recovery. The killer on the slide allows X to easily recover and continue the point.
He can flat out right hit a ball, huh?